Thank you. Never spoken to one of these before. Oh, it sounds right. To be fair, it sounds right, doesn't it, Ben?
It does, mate.
Yeah, that sounds right. Right, ladies and gentlemen, and you, Rob, obviously don't come into that category. You'll be extremely glad to hear that I'm now your final obstacle between yourselves and even more alcohol. So I'll try and be as quick as I possibly can. We've now reached the point in proceedings where the groom gets all hot and sweaty, shifts uncomfortably in his seat, grabs the tablecloth. No, Karli, I'm not going to expose your video just yet. It's the time when he's just been given the receipt for obviously the wedding, the reception, and the drinks bill, obviously. I don't be.
Andrew, the drinks bill.
Is that Andrew's? Oh, that's unfortunate, to be fair. I don't believe in roasting the groom on his special day. Therefore, this speech will not contain anything embarrassing, controversial. Instead, it will concentrate on the quieter, loving, generous, and caring side of his character. Seriously, if that was the case, you may as well carry on now and carry on with your first dance and just start your preparations. I've quite honestly been looking forward to this moment for quite some time. It's the first time in about 10 years since meeting Rob I've actually been able to speak for 5 minutes in his presence without being rudely interrupted. Is that right? Apparently, Rob's mum Carol said there's a poor lad in Tenerife when you were like younger by the pool. Yeah. And you bored him to death about mortgage rates or something like that?
Oh, he's the barman.
Was he the barman?
He was the barman.
Blooming heck, mate. No wonder he made the excuse. I thought he said made the excuses and left. He said literally bored him to tears and like sort of he never spoke to you ever again. But as well as being talkative, he's also known for being argumentative. And there's a few Brighton lads who... Yes, you are? Oh, no, I'm not? Oh, yes, I am. You do have the uncanny ability of being able to get into argument almost anywhere, and that's like Wolves or socially or anywhere in the pub. And to me, this definitely seems a case of his small man syndrome coming to the fore, because you do have a tendency to attract trouble wherever you go. And you do, don't you?
Oh, look who's talking.
Pot kettle, pot kettle, pot kettle. Now, I'm not saying Rob is fundamentally talkative and loud, but after a few lagers, he does seem to break one fundamental law of physics, that light travels faster than sound. Because where Rob's concerned, you can definitely hear him before you can see him. But let's be brutally honest, that's not difficult, because at 4 feet tall, he's what we've known as vertically challenged. Now, in stark contrast to his talkative side, Rob also has the uncanny ability of being able to fall asleep almost anywhere, especially, as we know, after a few shandies. He regularly gets left behind on public transport, when he falls asleep in one of his drunken stupors. On the most recent occasion, you actually woke up on the train terminated in Southampton, and you ended up getting your customary taxi back to Farnborough, like you usually do. Gatwick, Farnborough? Yeah, okay. Now, it's great to see that everyone's enjoying the wedding today, and being best man, I also get the added advantage, or is that disadvantage, of seeing behind the scenes. Not that I've seen behind the scenes, to be fair. And let me know it's not pretty. Tears, tantrums, hissy fits, and makeup thrown all over the place. Fortunately, the bridesmaids have told me that Karli was much more better behaved than Rob.
It's all on my shoulder.
Is it? Now, I think this was already mentioned once before, but now after chatting to Karli, she also told me that for quite some time, obviously in Rob's Wolves family of friends, they did think that she was a figment of Rob's imagination. Regularly mentioned and spoken about, but not actually seen her in person. The common belief was she was uploaded off the internet. I've got Tinder or Pornhub down here, but I don't know which one it was from. It was one or the other. We all know that generally that wasn't the case, and then obviously they got together in 2018, culminating in Rob's proposal outside a pub, of course, where else would it be, in Newcastle, one of the Wolves away trips. And obviously, ultimately, that is why we are here today, to celebrate the marriage of obviously Rob and Karli. Hip hip hooray. Quite clearly, there's been no expense spared in creating this wonderful occasion. And by the way, please don't worry if you hear any strange noises during the course of my speech. It's the noise of Rob's wallet groaning in agony.
Done groaning, it's empty.
Is that what it is? Okay. So looking around this packed room, it's really surprising to discover how far some people have actually come. They're prepared to travel for a 3-course lunch. By the way, the food was excellent, and it was really nice. Just a round of applause to all the staff and the catering staff, because it was a really nice afternoon, to be fair. It really is a good job that Rob didn't choose the menu, because you'd all be extremely disappointed having come all this way for fish and chips and a can of Foster's. Foster's? Stella? Maybe. Now, moving swiftly on, I'd just like to talk briefly about the age gap between the two.
She's much older.
Age gap. Yeah, obviously we know that. We obviously know that. But it's long been common knowledge that obviously Rob is Karli's sugar daddy, and this was confirmed recently during a low-key altercation with one of the neighbours. Rob was having some building work done. Loz, the builder, was regularly parking across his neighbour's drive. This came to a head when the neighbour apparently came round the house to tell them he didn't want Loz parking across his drive any longer. He knocked on the door. Karli answered. "Can I speak to your dad?" he said to Karli. "Bob, can I speak to Bob?" said the neighbour. "Actually, it's Rob, and he's my fiancé." How embarrassing is that? That is for Rob. Obviously, for you, no, Karli would be chuffed a bit. I'd be chuffed a bit if I was Karli. Hey, just imagine, she's been told she's young enough to be your daughter. Mate, it's the best compliment anyone could ask for. Now, I think I'd be doing Rob a disservice if I was to mention his eyesight, or more accurately, his terrible vision and his eerie ability to fall over regardless of circumstance.
What are you going to say about me then, twin?
No. I've got nothing bad to say against you. Nothing bad to say at all. Nothing bad. No. But this is even more surprising when you consider that three of his best friends, Pete, Nick and Rob, are all opticians by trade. They're all opticians by trade. Oh, I've just got it. I've only done 2 pages and I've just about realised that I was speaking to a mic. Sorry. Has everybody heard it? Anyway, is that okay? Haven't heard anything? Okay. I ain't going to start again. Now, so from first-hand experience, I know for a fact that Rob does indeed struggle with his eyesight. For example, one of the first times I met Rob, he ended up walking into a lamppost in Bradford and splitting his head open really badly. Then in Newcastle, he didn't see the no smoking signs in the hotel room, ended up having a cigarette in the bath. Then in Brighton on my stag do, he ended up sleeping in the gutter because he couldn't find his way to the hotel. And then on 2 further occasions in Newcastle, he didn't see the green post office box that he was found draped over at 6:30 on the evening, or the curb that he more recently tripped over, and ended up with a huge egg on his face, and a bystander having to call an ambulance because his injuries were so severe. As you can see, Rob really is essentially an accident waiting to happen. You are, though, aren't you? And you know you are. How big was the egg on his head? Was it massive?
It was the lip.
It was his lip as well?
Lip, yeah. It was bigger than Mel's. Is he not there? No, he's behind.
However, I've been told his poor eyesight isn't only associated with his nights out with the footy lads, because Karli's mum's house, he has a tendency to repeatedly walk into the patio doors. You've done this on 1, 2, 3, 4 occasions. Have you done that? So, all things considered, I'd definitely recommend that you book an eye test with Pete before the night's out. That's if you're going to hit Karli's bullseye a bit later on tonight, because I know you're going to be a bit worse for wear. Is that all right?
That's right.
Yeah. You're going to get an eye test or not? Sound?
Free. That's the wedding present.
Free? Off Mr. Greatbatch?
Half price.
Absolutely no chance whatsoever.
Half price, maybe.
Recently, I've done quite a lot of research into Rob's childhood in order to find out what the young Mr. Westwood was actually like. And one overriding theme that seems to dominate his teenage years was his driving prowess, his love of fast cars and motorcycles from an early age. Is that right, Rob? Okay. The first incident that I became aware of was when Rob wrote off his mum's car whilst they were on holiday during one of his joyrides. He actually only managed to make it 100 yards down the road when he didn't negotiate the first bend and ended up crashing into a stone wall. A dry stone wall, yeah. Apparently, Rob, you ended up with a black eye and feeling really sorry for yourself. Yeah. Especially when the police arrived and you had no licence, no insurance, and there were cans of beer found on the back seat. Fortunately for Rob, he had no driving licence. He got away with a reprimand from the police, but he didn't go away scot-free because you did have to help the farmer rebuild the wall. Is that right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So, how do I know that? Yeah. Now, the second incident I heard about, Rob wrote off his beloved motorcycle. A bit of a theme going on here, these writing off of cars and motorcycles, aren't there? Yeah. On your way to take one of your GCSEs?
It was.
Over the hills of where Astley Lee, or how do you pronounce it? Astley Lee. Is that right? Yeah. That particular crash was head on, and your mum has said to me, it's a shame you were wearing a crash helmet, otherwise it might have knocked a bit of sense into you.
I can imagine her saying that.
She did, yeah, she definitely said that. However, it wasn't long before Rob had notched up his hat trick and wrote off his third vehicle. Is that right?
The XR3i.
This time, while your grandparents were looking after him, and he was absolutely gutted because you'd only just finished paying for the car, and you ended up having to accept face value for it. Or scrap value? Scrap value, yeah. Definitely a case of third time lucky for Rob, as you'd once again managed to escape the accident without any serious injury. That's right, don't he? Yep. Unbelievably though, even after all of these accidents, Rob does still think that he's generally a good driver. And you still do, don't you? You still do.
I'm the best.
He's the best, yeah. After all, they say practice does make perfect. However, definitely not the case where Rob's concerned. An incident a few years ago with a car. After a midweek game with the Wolves, Rob still has his moments of madness and road rage, and on this occasion he ended up playing bumper cars with about half a dozen vehicles in his impatient attempts to exit the car park. Those after a defeat, isn't he? So you certainly haven't learnt your lesson. When it comes to driving sensibly and looking after your beloved motor cars, you've no lesson whatsoever, have you, essentially?
That's what insurance is for.
Is that what it is? Okay. Fair enough. As well as his driving prowess, Rob would also like to think that he's renowned for his drinking. Hands up, how many people thinks he can drink? Well, who was that? Was that one? Okay then, okay, one. In fact, I believe the first time we went out drinking with Jeff, she said she'd warned Jeff not to try and keep up with you, and she'd be locking the front door at 11:30, as she didn't want you coming back worse for wear. Is that right?
That was a bread.
What was that? Was it cold?
Yeah.
Was it snowing? And it was icy?
Yeah.
Yeah, thought so. Obviously, they didn't take any notice and ended up staying out later than expected. Subsequently, on their return, they had to spend a few hours in Rob's car on the front of the drive in the freezing cold, as Carol refused to let them in. She did finally relent and eventually let them in after a few hours, but only after they'd learnt another rather frosty and chilly lesson in some very wintry conditions. Some people will never learn, will they, Rob? You still haven't now, have you? To be fair, no, you haven't. No.
I was smoking them cigars, wasn't it? Do you remember? Cigars in, you could smoke indoors then.
In fact, Rob's mum told me that taking all of his drinking and driving activities into consideration, she generally thought it was quite an achievement that when he reached his 18th birthday without being either imprisoned or killed. I think there's a few people who would also agree. She then went on to say that he'd actually been the perfect child up until 15. She said you were clever, intelligent, played cricket for Oxfordshire, very polite, attractive. Really?
Had 2 ears then.
And overall, a very well-mannered young man. This was until he discovered two things, she said. Girls and beer. And she readily admits that after it's all been pretty much downhill from then on. Carol added that Rob he's always blamed his parents for imprisoning him for the first 15 years of his life. Not letting him experience in Rob's will the real world. But personally, I think they've done him a massive favour and probably saved his life. So for that achievement alone, can you give his parents a round of applause, please? Who knows? Who knows? As you probably know, apart from drinking and driving, Rob's other favourite pastime is religiously following the exploits of his beloved football club, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Hey! So as he fanatically follows Wolves all around the country and now into Europe, come on the Wolves, come on the Wolves. On a regular basis, I want to conduct a short quiz, just as a bit of fun, to test your knowledge of Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club, if that's all right. You okay? There's only 6 questions.
You're asking me?
Yeah, you're on the spot. You're on the spot. No, it's you. Okay.
Multiple choice.
No, it's not multiple choice. Okay, here we go. Questions as follows. Number 1, the 2 all-time top goal scorers for Wolves. It's an easy one.
Steve Ball and John Bridges.
Correct. The two with the most appearances.
Billy Wright and Derek Parkin.
Got one right. All right, Derek Parkins, one of them. Kenny Hibbett, the other. Yeah. Okay, number of league titles. How many? Quick. We haven't got all night. I've got another 7 pages here. You better hurry up. 3, correct. How many runners up?
Oh, I mean, you don't celebrate what come in second, do you?
Okay then. Most expensive signing? Recently?
Yeah, 32 million. Jimenez.
Correct. Most successful manager?
Nuno.
How is it? Has he won any league titles?
No.
Stan Cullis. It's Stan Cullis. Okay, and the biggest win? Oh, we'll crack this. And the biggest win? What's the biggest win?
31.
Pardon?
31.
14-0. Crosswell Brewery. In the league, 10-1 Leicester. Okay. Give him a round of applause. He's absolutely shit, but a round of applause anyway. You weren't even close. Now, as we mentioned earlier, Rob's sporting prowess is almost as legendary as his drinking, his driving exploits. In fact, when leaving high school, as well as playing cricket for Oxfordshire, he was recognised as making a major contribution to the school's football team's achievements. Effectively, by keeping well away and carry on with his ballet and recorder lessons in the dance hall with the music teacher. Apparently, he was banned from ballet after one lesson for running around doing impersonation of an aeroplane. Is that right?
Yeah.
How do I know that?
No.
How do I know
It's
that?
about 4.
Well.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Rob's also known for his love of money and especially not wanting to part with it. I regularly pay for the beers and his director's Jaegers as we follow wolves around the country. He, on the other hand, said the best way to double your money is not to be on the wolves or a horse, but to fold it over once and carefully put it back into your pocket. Oh, no.
Hang on, we come to page 29.
Oh, no. Yeah. Now, I've already mentioned Rob's appearance and the fact that he's vertically challenged. Well, essentially, he's an elf and a very small one to boot, essentially. However, as being... Okay, no problem. However, as well as being small in stature, Rob is also renowned for another part of his anatomy. No, Karli, not that one. We've mentioned the video, we're not mentioning it again. Yes, you've guessed it, it's his ears, and more precisely, his pointy ear. Basically, his one ear resembles those of Dr. Spock from Star Trek, therefore, so that his appearance remains symmetrical throughout his big day, and more importantly, whilst he's having his photos taken, I've bought him a set of Dr. Spock ears so you don't look self-conscious on the most important day of your life, so you can have a set of Dr. Spock ears. There you go, mate.
Cheers, mate.
All right, mate. Okay. Is that all right? They look all right?
Yeah, they're brilliant.
They fit? They look like they'll fit, to be fair. I think they will fit.
I think that one will, this one might not.
Now I'm going to get serious now. To make you cry. Now, if the theme of my speech had been why should Rob marry Karli, then my job would have been a very straightforward one indeed. She's kind, beautiful, thoughtful, caring, and most of all, as we've seen, she puts up with all of Rob's bad habits. She's essentially got the patience of a saint, and I can honestly say, with my hand on my heart, that you've now found the right person for you to spend the rest of your life with. It's really been a wonderful honour being your best man today. Rob really is a very special person, and I mean special in every sense of the way. Seriously, he's one of the best mates anyone could ever ask for, well, most of the time anyway. Finally, the language of love is one that is spoken by everyone but understood only by the heart. It is a song that never ends, and ultimately, it's not about finding the person you can live with, but finding the person you cannot live without. Rob has now found that person in Karli. Could I please ask Rob and Karli now to stand and face each other? Everyone here is extremely pleased that you've finally found each other, and even happier now that today you've taken the next step along the path of love by becoming husband and wife. But as you stand here together, please do not ever forget this statement. You are now effectively gazing at the person who, statistically speaking, is most likely to murder you. Now, if you'd like to remain standing, we've got a quick game of Mr. and Mrs. for you to play. It's not going to take long. Now, your paddles, there's Barbara Windsor for Karli, as she's small, blonde, beautiful, bubbly, was a barmaid when they first got together, and when they first got together, it was a right carry on, boom, boom. For Rob, it's Georgie Best, because of his good looks, his beard, his love of football and fast cars, his eye for the ladies, and the fact that he's basically the biggest drunkard on the planet. So here you go. There's your paddles, Georgie Best. You're both going to have like one each. You've got to go back to back, one each. Then I'm going to ask you some questions. There you go.
One each.
One each. One in either hand. And then I need someone to keep score. Is somebody going to keep score?
Rob,
you can't have both. Yeah, you got one of each. One of each. One of each. Yeah. Yeah. One of each. One of each. Back to back. Back to back.
Georgie Best or Bab.
Hands down. Yeah. Hands down. Okay. Here we go. Is someone going to keep score? Is there someone close that can keep score? All you've got to do is, whenever they get the same one, you've just got to keep score. Okay. Lauren, you do that? Yeah. Lauren will do that. Okay. First one. Put your beers down. Okay. Who's the messiest? Well, we ain't got all night. Who's the best in bed? Karli ain't put one up, has she? Have you put one up? Oh. Who's the best cook? Who's the most romantic? Who breaks wind the most? Man, and I'll tell you, if you don't win this one, you may as well split it out. Who drinks the most? At least they've got one right, Lauren. They got one right, mate. They've got one right. At least they agree on something. Who's the best taste in clothes? No way. Who's the best looking? Hey! Who's the most stubborn? Who's the grumpiest? Grumpiest? Controversial, that is. Who's had the most sexual partners? And who's the boss? Who's the boss? Yeah. Well, Lauren, what's the score? 9. 9. Okay. 1 to 3 never last. 4 to 6 on the rocks after 2 years. 7 to 9. Maybe the 7-year-ish. Okay. But we all know that the 7-year-ish. But we all know that your marriage.
Who's the best in bed?
Can you stop arguing now? Honestly, it wasn't meant as an argument. Okay. They got 9. It may be the 7-year-ish, but we all know that your marriage is definitely going to last a lifetime. Rob, thanks again for letting me be your best man. I really do hope your marriage lasts forever. And without further ado, and that thought in mind, can everyone please raise their glasses to Rob and Karli? Rob and Karli. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the rest of your evening. Cheers. Thanks, and good night. Okay, cheers, mate.